name is Antu Yacob. I'm Associate Producer with Project Y Theater Company. And today we're talking to 3 of our 4 playwrights who develop pieces with this session's All Hands on Deck. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce our amazing, talented, brilliant playwrights. I'm going to go in the order that I see them here. Lisa Rosetta Strum, Mahalet Tegenu, and Julienne Hairston. I'm going to give you an applause. We just finished recording the pieces with the company of actors, and they will be available soon to stream. We'll let you guys know when they are. But we wanted to have a post-recording discussion with our playwrights, and so that's what this is. I have a couple questions, and I'm going to go ahead and ask the first one of our esteemed playwrights here. Number 1, what was your first initial reaction to the theme? Let me just review that the theme this session was, what does it mean to be a strong Black female, right? The theme is actually verbatim lifestyles of the strong and Black female. And I'm going to get into that theme a little bit later when we talk with the producers. But what I'd like to know about your process, we'll start with you, Lisa. What was the initial reaction when you found out about the theme?
The theme, well, first of all, as a Black woman, I hate the word strong, right? I have such a visceral reaction to it because I feel like I know and understand what that word means to us and how it's used to describe us. And so I was like, okay, so my version of strong is a Black woman who chooses to be whoever she is. So whatever state she's in, if she's living authentically, if she's living emotionally authentically, then that to me was a strong woman. So I felt like I wanted to go in the opposite direction of what I have come to know what a strong woman is supposed to be. So that was my first reaction. And so from there, I thought about how I wanted to explore that. And so interestingly enough, the final monologue that Sheila has was actually an edited version of a longer monologue that I had many moons ago. And I was thinking, when I was looking at things, I re-looked at that monologue and thought, where have I not felt enough? And I said, oh, being an actor, this expectation of being very performative, Black-wise, culturally, not having my own identity, having people always constantly place things onto me. And so that sort of was the jumping off point for the play, An Actor Prepares, a woman who is searching, who's sort of going against type, who's being asked to do something that she feels she wants to do in a very particular way. She's being asked to perform in a particular way, but she wants to do it her own way. And there ensues all the drama, there ensues all the mess, and the premise for the play.
Yes, and it is very dramatic, but it's also extremely hysterical. So it's silly, yes. So funny. And I loved just all the ways you weaved in the seriousness and the weight of what you're talking about, but also the desire to be who you really are and the joy and the beauty of that, and even embracing the mess. That was one of my favorite parts of Sheila's character, that she was a walking mess, but there was an element of the embrace of it. Yes. And I found that really beautiful. So Julienne, I'm going to ask you the same question. And earlier I didn't say the names of the plays, but as you said, Lisa, you wrote An Actor Prepares, and Julienne Hairston wrote Candles and Cocoons. So what was your initial reaction or response to the theme?
My initial response was, I'm not feeling like a strong Black woman right now. I'm going through some stuff, and a lot of my friends are going through stuff coming out of COVID, and just also being of a certain age, sort of trying to realign ourselves with who we are meant to be, who we think we are, and and who the world is telling us that we are. And so I wanted to discuss that, discuss the struggles that we all have trying to be strong against, all these things coming at us, and also trying to really feel where we fit in, or come into our own. And how does that, how do you do that when you have some real life expectations put on you, not of your own making, but you feel like you can't just walk away. And so the struggle of trying to break free, but being held down. And I think also sometimes when we say strong Black woman, we kind of think of it as a negative, sort of almost like angry and strong Black woman. And it almost has a connotation of being, I don't know, superhuman, and that we're supposed to carry on, and we're supposed to struggle on through, and not say, hold on, like I'm struggling here. I'm just barely hanging on, and so how do you navigate that? Strong, and and you can do it too. I'm really not feeling that right now. I'm really not feeling so strong. I'm really not feeling so positive. And so that's why I wanted to discuss that in Cocoons and Candles. You're muted.
Got me. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I was I was just nodding my head. I was thinking about what I loved about your play is that you just opened the door and you gave so much breath and space to these women who are in different areas and times and spaces of their lives. I think we kind of get inundated with all types of stories that really focus on a certain demographic. And they seem to be like in the 20s and 30s.
Mhm.
And, it's nice to see something really intimate and layered about these women who are, past their 40s, who are like really still on a journey for self actualization. And that it's not a crime, there's no shame, it's part of the journey. Like at some point you find yourself in a place where you're like, I'm not happy anymore, or this brings me joy, and then I have these responsibilities. You talk a lot, I mean, you do it in a way where it is the weight of the story, but it doesn't feel preachy at all, like they're dealing with their sick parents. And that in itself is a very painful and heavy thing to take on. But I really appreciated the way that you're talking about or commenting on the healthcare system, while you're also delving into these women's lives. I loved the whole layering of it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's funny that we find ourselves on that journey where you may have pushed down what you really wanted to do, and then when you're ready to fly, then something else comes, like your parents' health, or a sibling's health, or just someone else needing you there. And you're like, but I don't want to do that. I'm ready to take my turn now. And so, yeah, I wanted to talk about that. It's a real thing for so many of us. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Mahalet, I'd love to hear your answer to that question. What was your initial response to the theme?
Yeah, definitely. So I think with the theme of like strong Black women, I wanted to kind of try to like redefine what it means to be strong as like a as a Black woman who's been in a grueling ballet industry. And I think for Maya, the main character, I kind of define that as her choosing herself and deciding to quit or to give up this love she's had her whole life. And I think she's definitely a character who's faced a lot of pressures and expectations. And I think there's a lot to be said about like a Black woman who just decides to just say no to like what she's been taught and the things that she's like internalized her whole life. And I think for ballet, there's strength in the sense of like the physical and the mental. So like obviously it's a very grueling industry, like physically, like it just takes a lot out of you. But at the same time, there's like the layer, the mental aspect that's more so like in terms of body image, like the pressure of having to subscribe to like this stick skinny like white beauty standard. And I think there are so many layers in ballet, and like I used to dance, I was in it for like 9 years, so I feel like I can attest to like the struggles and how strong you have to be a ballerina, but at the same time how freeing it can be to just say no and just to like choose happiness. Or yeah, it's complicated because ballet is something that offers so much happiness, but at the same time there's a lot of negative stuff, and that's definitely a theme I wanted to like, explore in Muse.
Yeah, I learned so much from your play because I didn't grow up doing ballet, and you Celestine also directed your piece, and I know that she had a dance background, so it was really. I remember in the first rehearsal just thinking, I don't know, there were so many things that you all knew shorthand with each other. You were having this other conversation and talking about the layering and the background of that experience. There was something about Maya's journey to me that also felt, and you touched on this when you talked about a black woman giving up everything that she's been, taught is quote unquote, like, to use for the lack of a better term, like successful or the right path. Even though it was so specific to this ballet dancer, I felt like I could track her story, and I knew what it felt like to have all of these expectations and all of this work that you've kind of put into something. And then it felt like her strength really came in her ability to stand up to everything that was basically suffocating her, and I think it's also a very powerful story. So yeah, really, really, really good work. I'm going to move on to the next question. Let's see. How would you describe the process of writing the play, if you could? Why don't we start with you, Julienne? We're going to go around a little bit.
Ooh.
And it's okay if you can, because everyone has a different process, but.
So I think of the theme, and I talk about what I think about what is it that I want to say about that theme? What do I want to say about strong Black women? How can I talk about that in maybe a different or new way? And then I walk and I'm like, okay, God, talk to me. give me something, give me this, give me what am I supposed to be right? I walk, I do my 3-mile walk, and I think about it. And I don't write for a long time. I just ruminate, and I hear words, and I hear dialogue, and then I usually write longhand on a piece of paper, and I still take a long time before I get onto the computer, and I ruminate and I ruminate, and well, is this really a story? Is this something that they would resonate? Is it important enough? Does it mean something? And I usually doubt myself for quite some time, and then I have to remind myself, well, God gave you the idea, God gave you the thought and the ideas. So go with it. Don't be so, fearful, and just then you have to sit down and just plug it through. But yeah, I think a really long time. And then I just let ideas and words and thoughts and scenery and where are these women and who are these women, how old are they going to be. I let all of that kind of like stew for a while, and then write longhand, and then get it on the computer, and then rewrite, and then rewrite and rewrite.
Awesome. Mahalet, how would you describe your process?
I think for me, I'm a big outliner. I feel like I just love to have things like layered out before I start writing. It's just kind of how I go about things. I love planning things, but so yeah, I think like I think of like the character, the idea first, and I try to spend a lot of time trying to put myself in the character's place and kind of maybe inserting a few of either my experiences or traits that I can like convey in a story, and then I think of the story that sorry about that. I think of the story that I want to tell, and then do the outline, and then write, and then revise multiple times. Sorry, yeah. I'll be right back for a second.
Okay, Lisa, how would you describe your process? How was the process for writing the play?
Oh, well, first getting the idea and really sticking to it, not being afraid of it, getting some things written down, thinking about, well, what am I really trying to say? And this listening for clues, writing.
You just went to,
Oh,
you
I just
just
went
muted.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Writing, rewriting, listening, very similar to Julienne, taking a walk, cursing. I do a lot of cursing when I write. And just judging it, thinking, oh, what am I doing? What am I trying to say? Then at some point, there is this breakthrough. There is a wonderful breakthrough where things just really start to flow. And then it creates all these other branches of ideas, and just trusting the instinct to go there and see what happens. And then going back and revising again and revising again. And I also like to get up on my feet and act things out, and put myself within each of the characters, to see where they're feeling and thinking. So I try to put myself physically into the roles of these people that I'm writing about. So yeah, it can be all over the place.
Yeah, that's great. You said something, and I wanted to know a little bit more about that. You said not being afraid of, after you get the idea, not being afraid of it. Can you go into what that means a little bit more?
Well, if I get an idea and I get very excited about it, the idea will come, and then I'll write a couple of sentences about what I think I want to write about. But then that's the easy part. But then it's getting it on the page and then turning it into a full play, and letting the play live from that. And then there's moments when I think, oh, this is not right. I don't know what I'm doing. This is really stupid. I need to go back and do something else. And I literally I said, no, you had this idea, stick with it and see what happens. And don't worry about if it's awful or if it doesn't make sense right away, that eventually you can make it make sense. And I find that when I do that, I really force myself to concentrate, and the ideas will come and the play will come, because I want to trust that initial spark, because it meant something to me, and I don't want to go back and betray it. I know some people are very different and think, well, if you change your mind, then that's a good thing. I tend to believe that what's coming up is the things that I really truly want to write about and that I'm really passionate about, and that because the process can be hard, that I start to punk out. I'm like, no, I'm not going to punk out. Just let it be bad. It'll eventually get to a place where it's interesting, and that it will make sense.
Gotcha. Okay, I have two more questions. Are you all good with that? Yes. Okay. So this was originally commissioned for the stage, this session, but it got shifted to Zoom because of the surge in COVID early on in the beginning of the new year. how did the switch of the platform affect your play? Or did you think it did or didn't?
Nothing really changed in the play. I mean, it was a bit, oh no, because in my mind, I could see the reading and seeing it being in person and that kind of energy, because there's a lot of different parts in my play that requires a lot of movement and activity. So I just think I just had to adjust my expectations, and then also realize I've done a lot of work on Zoom. We've all done so much work on Zoom during the pandemic, and thought, oh, well, this could also be another wonderful opportunity to explore the play virtually and see how we can play with this play on this platform. So then I became more excited. I thought, okay, it'll work. It's going to be what it's going to be. And I think we were able to find some really wonderful things. I mean, Celestine, our director, was just wonderful at really making it work for this platform.
Julienne?
Yeah, so my play is sort of intimate, and so you cannot replace being in a live theater with the audience members and actors on stage. But I wasn't really worried about it changing the idea or the message that I wanted to tell, or the importance of the characters. And I knew Project Y was going to bring it, so because they always do. So I knew it was in good hands, because I know all of you. I know you and McCall and Andrew, and I knew that it was safe in your hands, and that you would do everything to make it is the best that it could be. And so in that way, I was not concerned at all. It's just different to be on Zoom as opposed to being live and in person. There's no feeling like that. But I was not worried. I knew that that my play was in good hands, and that I was in good hands, because I know you guys. I know Project Y.
That means a lot to us. It really does. Thank you, Julienne. Mahalet.
Yeah. So I think I've done like a Zoom play in the past. So when I heard that it was shifting to online, like, of course there was like the bit of disappointment, but at the same time I know that the online platform is like a completely different experience, and that it has like its own like great like aspects. And I was really happy with the outcome. And I think the one thing that like was hard to capture was the physicality, because there's like a lot of movement, considering it's like a ballet story. I think it would be really cool to see that in person, but at the same time, it was so, I don't know, I liked how much we used like the squares as much as we could, and I did feel that there was like an interaction with the characters, with like the ballet movements, and then like the zooming in and out of like the camera. So yeah, I like, of course it's not the same, but it was like different. It was its own thing, and I feel like that's something I'm gonna like treasure. So
Okay, so our last question is, what was your favorite part of the process, in either the writing or the rehearsing or the recording? What was your favorite part of the process, if you had to choose one thing? Julienne, we can start with you.
I loved writing it, because it's so personal and scary. But I really loved when we went into rehearsal, and Dennis, the director, and the three actresses really understood what I was trying to say, and got the characters like right away. Because I was concerned that, did I write it clear enough? Will it, will it be understandable? Will it resonate with them? And when we talked and they, uh, spoke through, talked through it, just, first rehearsed it, just going through it the first time. And then Dennis had them all talk about, so who is this character? Like, who is she? What is she doing? Does she, he was asking all these questions and they're like, oh yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's right. And I was like, you guys, like these three strangers that I've never met, four strangers, because Dennis, Dennis I know, but this director and these three actresses, and they got what they got me, and I was like, I love this, So, it was really great. And not having to defend anything that I said, that it was through love and acceptance. And yeah, I love that. I love that process.
Lisa.
I really loved watching Celestine work with the actors, and watching the evolution over our rehearsals was really exciting to see. In that, watching them enjoy the process, but also watching them to be frustrated at times too, just watching all of it kind of unfold and evolve. And yeah, and that they got it, and that they found a way to let the play live on this platform in such an interesting way. That was really exciting to watch. I'm also a director. I'm an actor, so it's always interesting to allow other people to take over your work and just to be on the outside looking in. And that was also a joy, to just trust completely and only chime in when necessary, and just watching other people interpret your work. It was really exciting to behold.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm also an actor and a writer, and I know what it feels like to give your work to someone else. And I have to say that I'm really grateful that each and every one of you, trusted us in that way, because it's like your baby, and it's something that you're putting out into the world. And that trust means a lot to me whenever I have people working. I'm very, very, very selective. So again, we really appreciate that you trusted us and allowed us to use the space to share these stories. Every single one of these stories is completely different. And for me as an artist, that's something I've always been passionate about. How do we see Black people, and specifically Black women, for the multi-dimensional ways that they are? Things are starting to change a little bit, but I feel like there's just so much to us. And this session and the series is created with that in mind. Like, how many sides of us can we share, can we allow ourselves access to, and that we can embrace? So yeah. Okay, Mahalet, what was your favorite part of the process?
I would say it was the rehearsals. Like writing is definitely like my thing, but I just loved seeing the play come to life and seeing the directions like Celestine took it in, and the fact that she came from like a ballet background and was just really understanding like the intricacies of like the story. It was really great to see, and it was also I don't really act, so it was also really amazing to see how quickly the actors just like absorbed like the notes, the information, and just like ran with it. And then like after each like run we did, like I feel like it would keep evolving in really like interesting ways. So I would definitely say like working with like directors, actor, everyone was probably my favorite part of this process.
Well, thank you all for joining us in this post-recording session. I'm so excited for everyone out there to see these plays because I know that you all are going to love them. You're going to laugh, you're going to cry, you're going to feel, and you're going to enjoy them. So thank you all. And that's a wrap on our discussion. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Antu.
Thank you, Antu. Thank you, Andrew. Project Y.